Hi, I'm Charlie Starr. The video you are about to watch is part of my free course, How to Read a Birth Chart. Signing up is easy. Simply subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell, and shoot me an email to the address in the description box below, letting me know you want to be enrolled. I will reply with a welcome email, including the syllabus and other free course materials. Then head on over to my channel page and find the How to Read a Birth Chart free course playlist. Hit play and follow the step-by-step instructions to become a true birth chart master. And now, back to this video. Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the planets, my favorite part of astrology and my favorite part of the birth chart. We're going to first understand how the planets behave. Second, we're going to go over some common terminology when it comes to planets. And lastly, we're going to be going over the personal and transpersonal planets and external and internal expressions. In the last couple of videos, we've been learning about the different zodiac signs. We learned about the modalities, the first, middle, and last part of the season, cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And we also learned about the four ancient elements, fire, air, earth, and water, and each of the zodiac signs has a particular modality and has a particular element. All of the zodiac signs essentially describe regional locations in the zodiac wheel. So it's kind of like learning about different countries. Each country is going to have its own food, its own culture, its own values, its own sort of regional flavor, if you will. The planets, on the other hand, describe essentially people, spirits, entities. They are the ones that act as a particular person that has a particular expression, and they are the ones that actually move about through the houses, right? So from our perspective, Jupiter is moving through the signs, the sun and the moon and Venus and Mercury, all the different planets are moving through these signs, and they're the ones that behave like people. That's the best way that I can describe it. Okay, some technical terminology. When a planet is moving through, say we'll use, for example, the sun moving through Gemini. As we've already described, the signs are static. They're always in the same order. Each one is 30 degrees of the zodiac wheel. It's the planet that is moving through the zodiac signs. A moving planet is called a transiting planet. Transiting means that it's moving, right? So in a birth chart, the planets are not moving because it is a snapshot of where the planets were at the moment that that person was born. So somebody's birth chart, otherwise known as a natal chart, always stays the same. It's not moving, it's not transiting. A transiting planet is a planet that is moving through the sky, okay? So when we're talking about where the planet is, we're going to say the sun is in Gemini. One thing that I've heard some people do is the reverse. They'll say Gemini is in the sun. My Gemini is in the sun, or they'll actually usually use it for like Mercury, Venus. I have, Virgo is in Mars. No, Virgo is not in Mars. Mars is in Virgo. So when you're talking about a planet being in a sign, the planet is in the sign. The sign is not in the planet. Second of all, there's this term called ruling, and I've also heard that misapplied versus the signs versus the planets. The planets rule the signs. The signs don't rule the planets. So you might, I've heard somebody say like something like, because Virgo rules Mercury. No, Virgo doesn't rule Mercury. Mercury rules Virgo. The planet rules the sign. The planet is in the sign. The planet rules the sign, not the other way around. When somebody is talking about where a planet is in their birth chart, the right term for that would be natal Mars, natal Mercury, natal Venus. Another way that somebody could say this is saying my Venus, my Mercury. So my Venus is in Virgo, my Mercury is in Sagittarius, like that. That would be an appropriate way to accurately describe and communicate where a planet is in your birth chart. Lastly, in terminology, what is a planet? In astrology, what is a planet is a little different than what is a planet in astronomy. So in astronomy, the sun and the moon are not considered planets, and also Pluto is no longer considered a planet. In astrology, the planet really describes any moving body throughout the zodiac wheel. So that would be, another word for that is wandering stars. This is an old term because the planets are bright and we can see them, and they are essentially what we see moving. They look like stars, but they're moving. So the ancient term for this was wandering stars. This includes the sun and the moon, and we also still include Pluto, and this can even actually be a term that applies to different asteroids or anything that's really moving throughout the zodiac belt can be considered a planet in astrology. The sun and moon are also considered planets, like I stated, but they also are referred to by a different term, which is called the luminaries. So the sun and the moon are luminaries, and they're also planets. Okay, lastly, how the planets are expressing themselves. There are two main ways that a planet can express itself, and that can be either internalized or externalized. And additionally, there are planets that are considered personal and planets that are considered transpersonal. Let's talk about the first one first. So external expression or an internal expression. So a planet in somebody's birth chart can be experienced internally and also experienced externally. Let me give you an example. So say somebody's Mars is in a particular sign in their birth chart. Mars is in Virgo in this person's birth chart. That person is going to experience their Mars as part of themselves. It's going to be describing how they experience passion, how they experience strong emotions such as anger, drive, ambition, aggression, vitality. This is where their life force is. This is where they are motivated. This is where they have energy to do things, right? So this is an internalized expression of their Mars. All right, so an externalized expression of their Mars would be that person may experience their Mars as people opposing them, people being aggressive towards them. They may experience at different points in their life, the Mars element in their chart is actually being acted out as somebody that is not themselves, it's somebody else in their lives. Mars is just one example. Mars can express itself as a part of you, as well as expressing itself as something that you experience from other people. And the variance of this varies from person to person and planet to planet, with it being that the sun is essentially nearly always experienced as the self, internalized. And the further out the planets get, the more frequently they're experienced as external peoples, institutions, organizations, government agencies, etc., etc. So the way that it seems to work has to do with how far away from the sun the planet is, and that's when we get into personal versus transpersonal planets. So the personal planets are the traditional planets. That would be the planets that are visible with the naked eye, the planets that the Hellenistic astrologers were aware of in the Hellenistic period. That would be, of course, the luminaries, the sun and the moon, the Earth, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. So all of these are visible with the naked eye, and they tend to have a more personal or more internalized impact on us and reflect in the birth chart more internalized parts of ourselves. So very helpful when it comes to psychological astrology. Jupiter and Saturn, what I have found to be the case is that a lot of the time when somebody is first born, Saturn and Jupiter represent externalized factors because they symbolize really adult energies such as authority figures, rulers, responsibility. What I have found to be the case is that Jupiter and Saturn become more personal planets as a person gets older and takes on more responsibility and has more authority in their own life. The outer planets, which were only recently discovered, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, which is still considered a planet in astrology, these tend to express themselves externally, and we experience these energies as massive sources and structures that are largely outside of our control and not a part of ourselves. However, there are exceptions to this, but because of this massive distinction with the outer planets being so newly discovered and so far away from us and so frequently not being experienced externally or internally as part of ourselves, these are considered transpersonal planets, is the term for Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. And the personal planets are the traditional planets that are visible with the naked eye. So without further ado, let's get into each of the individual planets. I'm going to do a video for each of the planets. Each video will cover what signs that planet rules, some astronomical facts about them, possibly some mythological facts about them. But most importantly, in astrology, we're going to learn what each planet's characteristics are, what types of energies they represent, and what actions they tend to take. We're going to start with the sun, then the moon, then we're going to go through the personal planets from closest to the sun to furthest out, and then we'll deal with the transpersonal planets. Stay tuned. If you like this video, please make sure to hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.